Real insights, real opinions, straight from the people doing the work. This is a podcast from DesignStreet, a Sydney-based agency built for big business. This is Word on the Street. Beautiful. We made it. Word on the Street, a podcast we've wanted to launch for a very long time. And I think where the industry is and the world is, we have taken a bit of a backseat and not gone deep into AI or picking a topic too granular. And we wanted to just kind of introduce our agency and have a bit of a conversation today. We'll be doing episodes moving forward, which will be digging deeper into everything that we kind of do here at the agency. It's an exciting time for us, and I am Jonty, the CEO of the company, and this is Mick.
Hello.
And yeah, feel free to introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I think it's a good sort of opportunity for us to start taking these podcasts a little bit more seriously, understanding that obviously we're always very busy in the office, and these kind of extracurricular activities can kind of take a back seat to the deadlines that we face every day, but we finally managed to put some time aside and get ourselves set up. So I think it will be interesting. Interesting exploration in kind of what we do, who we are, where we think the industry is going, and a few of our hot takes. But to introduce myself, I'm the creative director at DesignStreet, and I've been with you guys for contested maybe 13, 14 years now, and I've definitely seen the company grow as I've grown, as well as yourself.
Yes.
Because you have been here for quite a while as well, and we've definitely developed a strong working relationship over the past few years, and it's a very interesting time, I think, in our industry, obviously with the introduction of AI. But before we get into that, probably before we look forward, it's probably a good idea to sort of look back and figure out how we've gotten to where we are.
Big time. And I think how we're going to structure these, just so everyone knows, it's not going to be an hour, 2 hour conversation. We're going to try to keep it short, punchy, get to the point nice and quickly for everyone listening. But yeah, maybe, from your side, give us a bit of, your story, how you came through the ranks at DesignStreet and where you've got to now.
Yeah, so I guess, I first joined the team as a midweight. I joined in 2011 under the art director at the time, and once he kind of departed, a bit of a space opened up around, who would take on the conceptual work. And we had a really good team with us, but I found myself doing a lot more conceptual work over that time and kind of stepped into that unofficial art director role, which then later on became official. And then as the years progressed, obviously moved into more creative direction, which has been interesting as well. So I think, it's very different from just being a creative. So, you are working with a team of creatives as well. So I think that management is as much part of the job as the creative part as well. Mm-hmm. And I think you tend to learn in a creative director role sort of to be able to put on the creative hat and then try to put on the management hat. You might be switching those hats on and off non-stop throughout the day, depending on what the day throws at you.
Well, I think you're doing a stellar job because we've kept our team for a long time. We've got a really great retention rate, which has been awesome. And I think, down to a lot of what you've done with the team as well, Mick.
Thank you.
Maybe about the team. So when we look at how do we, structure it, we've got account managers, we've got designers, and we've got coders, and each of them just play a different role. And I remember maybe, I don't know, it might have been 5-6 years ago, we were down to 3 or 4 people in our team, and over time we've really, really built and grown those positions so that we can get to a team of, call it like 11 or 12 now, with freelancers and contractors that come and help us. What's been the secret behind retention and keeping such a great team?
Yeah, from my perspective, I think there's real strength in not getting too big.
Yep.
So I think that the unified vision of the agency can be much more potent when you have a very tight team and everybody is aligned in what we create. And that way as well, you can stay nimble. You can ensure that the creative output is of a high standard. And I think it's also, you would also agree, is that we tend to like to nurture talent.
Yep.
And rather than bring in somebody who's already very well established and may have their own ways of going about things, we obviously like to learn and find out new ways of working, but when you find that raw talent and you can really kind of work with them and watch them grow into a significant member of the team, I think that's really rewarding as well. And I guess that does, go hand in hand with the high staff retention kind of thing. So
for sure, and we've probably seen that a lot with our interns that we've brought in. I know we've gone through the motion of a few of them which have come in, done a really, really great job, and we've kept them within the team. Like, how important is and are these juniors to the industry and also to our agency?
For sure. So, I mean, the junior talent is the key, right? So, especially given the changing face of the industry, even as recent as like the past 5 to 10 years, like we all know that technology is evolving, AI and everything like that. So these young guys coming up, they've definitely got insights or a fresh perspective as well on, and as raw as they are, or they can be, as they mature, you really value what they bring to the table, because they do have a new way of thinking. So we'd be crazy not to leverage that and be stuck in our old ways.
For sure, almost complementing what you do in the studio.
Absolutely.
and adding an additional layer, which I think has been so important for our AI outlook and the tools that we've been using. And we've got a channel, we've got a meeting once a week that we talking about all these things. And I know a lot of this stuff also comes from these tech juniors that are coming through and opening our eyes to all kinds of things.
Totally. I think those fresh ideas and that young talent, in combination with like people who have experience, like that more senior talent, that we have as well, that combination is really great, because you've got the experience, the refinement, but then you've got the fresh ideas and the energy that the young people bring. And I think also, going through that COVID phase, I think that one thing that really was highlighted to me was that, it's really cool to kind of work from home and stuff like that, but in these really intangible ways, the idea generation and work and creativity can be a little bit more difficult to tease out, because you're not actually in the same room together. Mm-hmm. And I still feel that there's nothing that really matches the vibe of getting everybody in a room together and having a conversation, because you kind of never know where that's going to lead.
Definitely. I think even with the meetings with our clients, we do definitely, or have seen a shift to more Zoom, but more recently I've been seeing a lot more, hey, let's meet up either at your office, our office, and we are so swamped with, what's going on with AI and the tech and everything out there, but that human touch is pretty unbelievable when you can kind of get it right.
Pretty vital.
Yeah,
still, definitely. And I think that's becoming ever more evident now as the kind of world is there was that big AI shock where it kind of seemed to just burst onto the scene, right? And all of a sudden people were saying, oh, why would we, I can do this myself, or there's, it's basically everything at everyone's fingertips.
Yeah.
But I think that it's important to remember, you can give the keys to a sports car to a child and they will likely crash it. But if you give it to a racing car driver, they would obviously be able to drive that car to its full potential. And I see that there's, that's a pretty fitting analogy for a lot of AI. Obviously, you've got your casual, your chat GPTs, and your basic Geminis, or like where people can just interface and hey, give me a recipe for a meringue pie. My favorite thing. But then if you want to do stuff that's much more serious, like image generation or helping you flesh out concepts, we find that you're not using AI to actually do that work for you. We're using it more to be the researcher, or help us summarize a meeting so that we can better focus on what we need to do.
I think I found that out firsthand when I was trying to knock on the door to try and get into the creative studio with Mick, and I've been denied many times. Even though now AI can pull a PowerPoint presentation, or I actually created a business card, and there were 5 errors which to the human eye you would not have picked, but off-brand fonts were wrong, colors were wrong. You can really dilute a brand really quickly if you get it wrong.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that's around that brand guardianship, right? So you can input your colors, you can input your typefaces, you can even feed examples of layouts into something like any LLM that you're kind of using, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it will maintain the integrity of that brand. And I think we're kind of seeing that a lot, not necessarily just on social media, but a lot of small businesses, there is definitely a place for it. For some of those small businesses that may not have access to agencies, or even agencies of our size, or can't even afford freelance designers. In that respect, I totally understand the idea of maybe utilizing AI in a smart and witty way to sort of enhance your brand and your advertising. But I think when it comes to sort of the larger companies that we tend to deal with, is that if AI is kind of used in the wrong way, it definitely can dilute a brand. And I think it comes down to, I know that this is a word that you really took away from that Ad News conference, Ad News Live that we were at a few weeks ago, that we heard the reference of the word taste sort of brought in. So, I guess in a sense the creatives are sort of taste makers. So, we obviously are on the tools, and we are we're ruling things up to make sure that the logo is perfectly square and there's an isolation area and the RGB values of the blue are perfect. But at the same time, there's that intangible essence of the creative that, we could probably break down into something much more scientific, but to the casual viewer, it would just look right. I think that's where that human perspective sort of comes in, right? And it can really shape the vision for a brand. It can really shape creative, and that can really be the difference, right? So when you're creating, from the simple fact sheet all the way up to a TV ad, I feel like you're definitely trying to form a connection with the viewer. Definitely. So human to human. And I think subconsciously people can perceive when there's when that connection's not there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm seeing it particularly in the LinkedIn posts that we see every single day, and some of it I'm just really skipping over as soon as I see that it's been written by AI. I don't know why, but it's just, it loses its value. It loses the meat behind it and the actual human thought behind it. It's been done by a machine that then has learnt it from someone else. So is that actually your opinion, So, and to be fair, we've used it once or twice when it was first coming out, and wow, this is great. But for some reason, and I think you've been talking about it, the dust seems to be settling a little bit in the AI world.
Totally. So obviously when all this stuff came out, everybody wanted to be at the forefront and utilizing it. And sure, there was a period where I think, especially LinkedIn, people were just spamming with content because they had the capability to generate this content really fast. So, they could just put into ChatGPT, write me a LinkedIn post about branding and its importance, and it would give you something that, it's going to give you a very generic sort of answer. And not that you can't work with these LLMs to tailor it to definitely mirror your personal opinion, but that almost takes a lot of time, and that takes a lot of interacting with an LLM. And I think that when people were relying on your chat GPTs and and things like that to write those posts, they were looking for speed. And I think that's kind of what's happened, is that people have started to see so much of that they gloss over it. And I think that's kind of resulted in the dust settling on AI a little bit now, because we're trying to find genuinely innovative ways of using it. And, we're actually now going, okay, so where does AI fit in where it actually adds value to what I'm creating versus what can I use AI to do so that I don't have to do it?
Absolutely.
And I think
the tools are there. The tools have sped up certain parts of our agency, and that's been great. But I mean, I've said it before, is I think designers are the most important people at the moment, and really, really great design.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah, no, really great designers are in my opinion, taking those ideas, taking those efficiencies, taking those strategic ideas that have kind of come out of your boardroom or your brainstorm, and how do we then bring that to life? And those people with those strategic ideas who are not designer focused or have no skill in design, they are relying heavily on designers to go, okay, I need this because this is really great stuff that we've now got. How do we bring that out, and how do you bring it to life? And I think that's where the designers, the coders, they, in my opinion, are becoming even more vital.
Yeah, I would actually agree with that. So, now that everybody has access, to drive a car, the car being AI, it's way more important that you hand the keys over to someone who's got a license. If that makes sense.
Yep.
So
you won't be giving me the keys?
Not just yet. It's early days.
Yeah.
But not just yet. So you're on your L's,
yes,
man. So
yes,
I don't mind working with you, but I'm not going to let you run wild in the studio by yourself. That's dangerous. But I definitely think that, now that there are so many people out there who, especially in small businesses, even people within marketing teams, they're putting on a designer hat, and they're thinking, well, I can try and do this myself, and part of that dust settling is that a lot of these people within marketing teams have done that, and now they're starting to see the sort of the result of that, and they're maybe my click-through rate wasn't as high. Maybe my sales figures weren't as high as they could have been. And I think that they're starting to identify that, there actually is value in working with someone who is a genuine trained creative to help me rationalize this idea and turn it into something tangible, rather than just trying to come up with something myself that might end up being a little bit generic.
And I think even when I started vibe coding, everyone laughed at me, but I created some really, really cool apps, one to do new business development, and got twins on the way. So I wanted to work out how do I handle that, a twins app. And at the end of it, I was like, great, this is all good. How am I going to get this onto my phone? And I guess I just did not know that next step, and how do I launch it into browsers and all that kind of nitty gritty that those coders have the experience, and how to then go, okay, we need to take this idea or this app, which is great, and it's been created by someone who really had a great idea. But that's where I'm saying that the creatives and the coders and these people who can take it to the next level, they're becoming more and more critical, because you can either take it to a certain level or you can take it to that next level. And I think you need the pros to really take it to the next level.
I think that, your vibe coding stuff is a great example, right? So you've had a great idea, and you were able to use, Claude to sort of flesh that idea into essentially a functioning prototype.
Yeah.
Now, if you're using it personally, that's great. You might not need to take it further, and it does the job for you. But if you want to turn that into something that's commercially viable, you definitely wouldn't consider what you had created packaged up and refined enough to hand over to a client, right?
Sure.
So that's where your actual professionals, whether it's your creatives, the people doing UX, UI, all the way down to your development team. They're important because what they'll see is they'll see the essence of what you're creating. They'll see the idea and they'll see what you're trying to achieve. And you might not have necessarily been able to explain that to them in words as easily. So that whole process of transforming your idea into something that they can understand and build on has been helped with the use of AI, right?
Gap's closed.
That gap is closed kind of thing. But the thing is, those people at the end are the difference between whether that idea you have could potentially be a massive success and really translate to a particular audience that you're aiming for, a demographic, or completely falling flat with an audience because, it's very clunky, the buttons are kind of weird, I just don't understand how to navigate it, it doesn't look slick, or it keeps crashing on me, things like that. And the difference would be is if I just work with my development team, they can fix that so that it's never an issue again. And that highlighted the big difference to me that it definitely can fill gaps for you, or help you develop prototypes or flesh out ideas, and it speeds up that process. It speeds up research. It speeds up coming back on meetings and defining action steps and all of those things. But it doesn't do the whole job.
For sure.
And even though it may be able to potentially do the whole job sometimes, it's not necessarily going to do the best job.
Yeah.
So
and that's what we're striving for, I guess, is the best of the best. But what's next for us as an agency from a creative point of view, and talking about all those AIs and taste and everything we've mentioned today, where are we taking that with the tools that we have on hand?
Yeah, so, it's a very interesting time. So, you could probably ask me this question in the next episode and my answer would be slightly different.
Yeah.
And the fact is, it's because our industry is evolving so fast. But I think that there'll be definitely further experimentation around AI. We've definitely heavily integrated it. Everybody's got Claude on their computers now. Everybody's having a crack at vibe coding things, or recently I was interfacing with AI to sort of help me draft some ideas that I had, and then I took them away and actually illustrated them, re-illustrated them the way that I wanted them to be. But it kind of helped me develop that first sketch. And that was really the first time I'd kind of used that sort of workflow. So that was quite interesting. I think we'll continue to sort of utilize things like Figma Weave. So that's been really good. So in the past, we'd rely very much on stock imagery and or imagery that from photo shoots that clients have supplied for us. But now we kind of have the option to generate imagery that looks very, very high end, and we can sort of shape it so that to exactly what we want it to be. So it's not going to come out looking like a Getty image, but it's also not going to come out looking like your classic GPT, like really weird, semi-cartoonish or overly filtered, golden light, golden hour lighting kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like we can really continue to sort of develop those skills and understand how they can help us. I think that will continue to evolve. We've also implemented some kind of AI checks that we run in our artwork now. So with the assistance of our development team, we can now check that all of our artwork, all the comments are captured, all of the changes that a client has requested or sent through, that they've been done. So that speeds up that process for us. And I think those black and white tasks, those tedious tasks where you're sitting down making sure that everything has a full stop, everything has a space, the client has asked for this sentence to be changed in an email, all those kind of medial tasks will continue to see where AI can come in to help us do that.
Sure.
That way it enables us to really focus on, okay, does this look as good as it could look?
Yeah.
Could I flesh out that idea in a little more depth to
take it to that next
level.
take
it to the next level? Exactly. And we're all very time poor now. We're all trying to do so much, and in this age of technology, So
that's a really good insight into, from the studio point of view. And I think what's exciting, we've got Alex from Melbourne coming up to Sydney next week. So I think we need to pop him onto the big chair and further this conversation, because he's obviously come across all kinds of stuff in the AR world and the coding world. And he, as a senior developer, he's seen a lot, and I think he's taught us a lot. And I think that'll be great to have him here. We've also got an event next week. We won't give too much away, but we're celebrating a big milestone with one of our clients. So that's going to be lots of fun. So we could probably have
be fun.
A bit of a chat around that. Yeah, awesome to chat, Mick. Thanks so much. I try to kind of step back a little bit so that you could really get your creative thoughts out there. And you have been a big part of our team for so long. And I think you've got a wealth of knowledge, and we'd love to share more to whoever might be listening or picking this up. So yeah,
well, happy to come on, and let me know if you ever want me to come on and talk my talk again.
I'm sure you'll be on most episodes moving forward.
Cheers.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Thanks for listening to Word on the Street. More conversations from the DesignStreet team coming soon.